everyone, and welcome to our YouTube channel, Moneyline with Nancy at TV. In case you're not a subscriber yet, please do subscribe. Just press the subscribe button as well as turn on the notification bell so that you can get notifications when we upload our videos. Don't also forget to subscribe and join, follow, like our other social media platforms. Of course, you're seeing it right about now. Don't also forget to share this video across your platforms. Enjoy the video. All right, welcome back. Dr. Paul Alaje is joining me right now. He's at the table. Welcome to you, Dr. Alaje. How are you?
Yeah, Happy New Year. Thank you so much for
having
me. Yes, we've spoken several times.
Yes. How are you doing?
Very fine.
What's one word for 2025 from you? Economically speaking, one word.
The later head shall greatly increase.
That's one sentence. One word for the economy 2025.
Let me say hopeful.
Hopeful.
Hopeful. Hopeful.
I interviewed the CEO of NESG last week, Dr. Tayo Adeloju. I asked him the same question. Man. Yeah, very intelligent man. And he told me trade-offs. That was the one word he used, trade-offs. And we've seen it already. You know, it depends on how we manage the trade-offs from the reforms. And what we're seeing now, we're not managing those trade-offs well.
Yes.
You know, and I think the next day we were at the forum of the Central Bank of Nigeria Monetary Policy, and that was what also reverberated where the finance minister and all of that were. But why I'm bringing this in, and let's take it from there first, is that you're saying we should be hopeful as Nigerians, and perhaps you're hopeful that these reforms will work. If I get the sense of what you're saying.
Explain well.
Okay.
You know, when the reform were taking shape, I spoke for some things and I spoke vehemently against some things. Because over the years that I've studied the Nigerian history, if you must practice reforms as we are practicing them, there are parameters that must be in place. There are ways with which you must provide some guide such that this reform at the end of the day will have positive impact on the people. Yes, we may have some little pains here and there, but at the end of the day, the impact will be there on Nigerians. So my hope is that, yes, the environment may not look so much as Nigerians want it to be, but there are new numbers coming up, which I'm saying perhaps we should just remain hopeful. This is the only country we've got. This is the only country I have, and I can only be hopeful that things will be fine at the end of the day.
Is it because Mr. President promised hope? Renewed hope
no,
agenda?
Now you know me since 2013 that we've been doing this. It's more than 10 years. I think about 12 years that we've been doing this. I am not affiliated to any president. I think I've worked in some administration, even when all the other presidents were in office. It's not because of that. I have even spoken against some of the policies. I've commended some of the policies. So it's not about Mr. President. You see, as economists, most of the time people misunderstand us. They think you are for a president or you are against a president. Our primary constituency is the economy. So my focus is on the economy, not looking at what Mr. President, who Mr. President is or who is not, or what he's saying. For me, what he's doing is more than what he's saying. What he's doing is what is happening to this economy. If I tell you, based on, if you project into 2025 as of January 2024, honestly, it's not what we'll be looking at because the numbers were not adding up. It's not that they're entirely adding up now, but we are saying that it might not be as bad as what we saw throughout 2024. Yes, the things might not be extremely better if you compare it, but it may not be as worse as the rate of change in 2023 to 2024 may not be the remaining, may not be the rate of change in 2024 to 2025. And it does not mean that things will entirely improve, but it may not be as worse. That is what I'm saying. Let's be hopeful that things will be better. Are you saying it may not be as worse? It may not be as worse, or Nigerians have crafted a very fine way of living with the difficulties. All the time, while Nigeria, some have been falling by the wayside. Yes, actually. All the while, Nigeria have always crafted ways of living. Check out, before 2024, average poverty rate has been 5 million people in a year. It's been 5 million people in a year. For 2024, what we had as of October was already 8 million people in a year. What that means, in fact, is that by the end of the year, we might have seen about 9 to 10 million people living in poverty line. For 2025, we might not have up to, say, 9, 10 million people. But do I think we will have poor people? The answer seems to be a yes, because look at the last inflationary figures.
Come again, I didn't get you. What
I say the average inflationary number for Nigeria in 2025, in 2024, not inflation number, poverty, number of people living in below poverty line, or according to World Bank, and I'm sure I saw you at that event where the World Bank representative mentioned that 10 million people already joined poverty bracket.
Okay, yes, additional
10 million people already joined. And when you check, that was October when you had that event. By December, perhaps we might have seen about additional 2 million people. If you go by the average, that's about 12 million people. In a long time, we have not seen that large number of people join poverty bracket as net increase. I'm saying that for 2025, yes, there will be more poor people. They may not be up to 12 million. Why? Because 2024 was the year of shock. It was a year of shock. It was a major dip that Nigeria experienced. Why? Because of the impact of what happened from the third quarter, I beg your pardon, of 2023. And those impacts were with us. And you know the impact of economy, especially when it's going to be a difficult time. They last between minimum of 6 months to about 24 months. Now, where trade-offs comes in, what you do with those trade-offs, what you do with those decisions. If you take positive decision as of when due, you might see a reversal after 2 to 4 years. But my fear again, when you see that 2026 is going to be a pre-election year, then what happens to all the gains that we have seen that government is hoping to get? You know, because at that time, we have seen central bank raising interest rates. We have seen some level of intervention by central bank, whether or not it's in the public domain or not is a different conversation. But I can tell you that with the rate at which we have seen, in fact, central bank even, I saw it where you started introducing the program today, that central bank will still continue to give BDCs 25,000 US dollars on weekly basis, which means whether we like it or not, central bank is going to the market, whether you legitimize the market or not. Why? So that we can stabilize the naira. That has always been my argument over the years. You need to stabilize your currency. The method irrespective, but don't be reckless in coming to the market to support. And I'm happy that we are seeing relative stability in the value of naira. But what happens 2026 when politicians want to go for primary? What happens to all the policies we've made? And it is not just President Obasanjo did it. Politicians came, threw money, they threw caution to the wind, exchange rates got worse. President Yaradua, President Jonathan, President Buhari, and I think every 4 years it gets worse. Now, what is the value of naira? How many delegates do you want to give naira? So politicians perhaps might have been preparing, whether yes or no, for what next year will look like, being pre-election year, so that they can either retain their seat or chase away their competitors from office so that they can retain it. Therefore, one of the factors that really determine what happens in our economy to a large extent is what happens to our exchange rate. And in doing that, we need to be careful. Perhaps government will make laws that you cannot spend money directly to electorate or delegates. I don't know how government is going to do that. But that is a conversation that must be heard. If we will truly see stability. Remember that in 2022, an economist had mentioned to journalists that don't worry, immediately after the primaries, the value of naira will go up. And I remember some of journalists spoke with me. In fact, I think our session of journalists, financial journalists in Nigeria, and I said it's going to get worse off because it's just the beginning. We open a new chapter after pre-election year, and that pre-election year will tell us what the entire 4 years will look like. For 2022, going to 2023, we knew the value will get worse. Why? Because of how reckless people spend dollar in place of naira to give to delegates. 2026 is here. And guess what? If politicians start mopping up more money, I'm happy Mr. Cardoso raised an alarm. You know, I think 2 MPC meetings away. And he didn't say it directly, but very smart.
In September.
He
said it directly.
No, the way he said it, he said there seems to be a correlation.
It's direct, that whenever they release fact.
So when he said that,
exchange rate naira depreciate, it was a direct
because
stop.
As an economist,
yes,
this is the position I've had in the last 4 years. for the central bank governor to say it, it now became much easier for us as economists to say that if central bank, the apex bank in the land, have noticed the same thing we saw through our econometrics number, then attention needs to be paid to this. I now saw that shortly after that, we started seeing some level of improvement, you know. So are we saying that that will not return? And I'll have advised central bank, whatever you need to do as monetary authority, because you know why? Most Nigerians may not talk about CBN, but for some of us, we will continue to talk about it because there are two key legs. Even economy has three key legs. The fiscal, which of course people, whether you like it or not, you say is a Ministry of Finance. No.
It does not only concern, yes, including the states.
Is the government and government, the three tiers of government. That's the fiscal.
Yes.
Then the central bank, in this case monetary. And lastly, the physical or trade. So it's the physical, what is exchanging among countries. So it's on those three legs. What is happening to our trade? What is happening to our monetary authorities? What is happening to our fiscal authorities? Okay. These are three conversations that is important to look at because for me, yes, things were really not as we expected them in 2024, but 2025 may not be, I hope, and that is why the word hope comes from, because right now you need to settle with hope that it will not be worse than what we have seen. I don't think it will get as worse as 2024 in percentage-wise. So when I say I don't think so, if people say exchange rate goes to 1,800, I say, Paul, you say it will not be. When you compare the percentage to how it closed in 2023, that is how economics relate things, not in absolute terms. So I am hopeful that we will not get to that point, because whether it gets there or not, then we know that we need to bear the consequences, because of course economics is about trade-offs.
I think it was Diana Ross that sang, "Hope is an open window, joy is an open door." You know, hope an open window. You know, I'm a Diana Ross fan, so so we should be hopeful in everything you've said. We should be hopeful this year. Now let's take a look at the fiscal authorities and their response, perhaps to Trump's troubles. Yesterday at the FEC, you would have gotten the news. What do you think about the response of the Federal Executive Council? On healthcare reforms, we must say that, but that is actually a loan, which the Minister of Finance explained. Then some billions of naira for HIV treatment, for 150,000 packs of HIV treatment. Then the other part also, which we saw yesterday, was the creation of another agency, as it were, Creative and Tourism Infrastructure Corporation, if I'm not mistaken, as announced by the Minister of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy. What are your responses to this?
For me, we need to understand that the world will be faced with an interesting 4 years when throughout the time Trump will be in office. Trump has not mixed words. He has been very clear from his first coming to second coming. And I think my response should not just be for monetary authority, trade authority, and most importantly, central bank needs to be aware that inflation, before the end of this year, global inflation is expected to go higher. One, Trump is slamming tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and by extension, it may get to China. Apart from that, he has started speaking to Europe that the same may happen. You see, once he gets to Europe and he gets to China, forget the rest of the world, because this inflation will go round. Once it goes round, if central bank thinks that raising monetary policy will be the way out, then we are mistaken, because it's going to be as a result of supply side. It will be supply side shortage that will induce this inflation. Why?
Supply side shortage from where now? I'm trying to understand you.
Most of the product that we consume, the prices will go up. We cannot afford them. Now, supply will not get to us.
Why would it go up?
If tariffs is high.
On, for example, US and China?
Yes, it's cost. They have inputs from you, because they will respond. Any country you increase tariff for, we respond. Once they respond with higher tariff, what happens to price? Price goes up. See, tariffs have implications on pricing.
Wouldn't price go up for the consumers in the United States? How will it, as we speak now, I'm just saying, you know, let's just break it down a bit, and let's not assume that everybody understands what we're saying, you know. One would ask, okay, Trump and China, Trump and Canada, Trump and Mexico, and those he would...
And Europe.
And Europe. How about Africa? We already have existing business relationships with China. I mean, not just even Nigeria, even China. China has been able to worm its way into Africa for a long time. Are you saying in response to what would be happening in the United States, for example, with China, which is a major trading partner of Africa, that they would use that and inflate the costs on Africans and or other trading partners? I hope you understand my question.
I get your question.
Yes.
Not necessarily, but that will still happen. But
Okay.
not because China intends to inflict it on us as Africans. This is what I'm saying. What you would see is that, you know, the world is like a web. We are all connected. There are things China depends on United States for, and there are things United States depends on China for. Trump is saying, I've had trade deficits over the years, using China as example. And if you remember in 2019, Trump measured his trade deficit to China, which was in billions of dollars. And he feels that the way I can respond to this is by increasing tariffs so that I can discourage, one, Chinese influx into the United States, one. Two, I can also boost my revenue to my country. And that was what Trump did. I warned on a show that if this continues, the world economy will become very volatile. Why? Because the largest economy in the world and the number two are having trade war. Now, it's not just the largest economy. One of the largest regions is having major trade concern. They share military intelligence together, they share. So the price of commodity, you have started seeing price of egg going up. You know, when Ukraine, not in Nigeria, in the Americans, when Ukraine and Russia started, the first 2 quarters, we didn't feel it. The moment it started affecting ports, the price affected us. So how much are they paying at port? And they will not. They will not just say, we are leaving China, we are coming straight to Africa, we are not going to anywhere else. The cost will have implication on everything. That is why when there are economic quagmire or economic concern in one part of the world, and the person or the country is an active player in global economy, it has a way it goes round and affect the rest of the world. So as Nigerians, you might think Trump is not talking to you. He has already spoken to you. Because when he's speaking with your major trade partners who have some of their inputs from America or from Canada or from, so it's going to affect everybody. Do you think America will be exempted? No. It's going to affect everybody. But why do you think Trump may be doing this? He feels boosting his own local manufacturer is what it, because if you check, Trump says America first. Now, what are we saying in Africa? Where are we saying American first? Look at Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. How have we boosted or identified some country to say, you now need to be our major production zones? For instance, Nigeria, you have the land, you have the population, you have the energy. When I talk of energy, not electricity, but the gas reserves. We have all of these things. Can we partner as Africa to say, be the manufacturing hub? And we also have area with competitive cost advantage, part of Lagos to Ogun. We have majorly southeast. We have also the farm areas from Plateau, Benue to up north. They have competitive cost advantage. Can state governors start seeing themselves as key economic players in African conversation beyond the entire Nigerians? Okay. So as Trump policy continues, I'm happy Mexico and Canada are responding maturely to Trump's tariff hike, which is to take place from today. Because of the maturity, I only hope that diplomacy will supersede personal interest in the Americans, of course. But if that does not take effect, it's a matter of 2 quarters. I will remind you, it's a matter of 2 quarters, because something of such effect will not take more than 2 quarters. If you escape the 2nd quarter in Africa, trust me, the 3rd quarter. What happened? Why did price of diesel? I have a small manufacturing plant. Diesel in 2021 was 290. By 2023, we were now buying over 1,000. What changed? As at that time, President Tinubu was not in office. It was not as early 2023. It's not because he said subsidy is gone. The price jumped to 1,000. Why? Because Russia and Ukraine war started. I did not abuse Vladimir Putin. I did not speak with Zelensky that they should fight. But guess what? My factory was having the impact. Okay. The same thing you may have between what is going on. So the world should not wish it away. What does it mean for monetary authorities in Nigeria? You need to look at the keys and the tools you will use. You need to start combining policies, beyond Mr. Central Bank Governor and the Minister of Finance, Mr. Wale Edun, two good gentlemen, beyond just meeting across the tea tables. No. How do we protect our economy?
Okay, let me bust your bubble. The central bank governor has said, or the central bank has maintained at the event last week, they did say that we're already on a pathway to disinflation. That's what we were told. In fact, I asked the DG economic policy that question.
I wish I could make my article available to the central bank. But the time I saw the event was very short. Of course, I eventually wrote the article, but I've not published it. It is easy to say you want to...
So are you saying within this period of this Trumpism and all of that, it will be difficult to achieve disinflation?
I don't think they saw that coming, to put it, because I followed the program back to back.
But we were there for the whole day, actually. From morning till evening, we were there for the whole day. A lot of sessions, the DGs were anchors and all of that, listening to a lot of people and a lot of stakeholders. So with what you're saying now, you're saying that we are not on the path of disinflation, that inflation will still be high in the country.
Recall that this year, we are projected 15% inflation.
15% is by President Tinubu?
Yes. No, President Tinubu, see, don't say President Tinubu. That paper came from budget office.
Yes, but so he said it now.
We say, see,
it's part of his policy. He owned it.
I'm not saying he's not owning it. He's a leader. He will say it.
Yes.
But he will not be in budget office to do the math. He will not be in budget office to run the econometrics. He's the president. So there are agencies of government who must run these econometrics and give to the president to run. So we have a responsibility as economists in government.
So what are you trying to say? I'm trying to get you now 15% for this year projection by the executive. Yes.
That 50%, I doubt if they run the numbers. It's an assumption.
Okay.
So you might just put an assumption.
Despite if MBS rebases the CPI?
Of course. I've been seeing this rebasing. What does rebasing mean?
I discussed it yesterday.
What does rebasing mean?
Are you saying that it will not impact the numbers?
In fact,
even with the base year of
the growth rate will go down. The GDP growth rate will go down.
Should we take a bet?
No. Listen, I'm not saying the economy will not grow.
If it does, you buy me lunch or I buy you.
Listen, if the growth rate does not go down, then there is manipulation.
Oh, if the growth rate does not go down.
I didn't say if the economy does not grow, but the rate of growth does not go down, there is a manipulation.
I'm trying to get you. I understand what you're saying. If the margin of growth does not go down.
It must go down.
But not that the GDP rate
will go up. And I can tell you, you could be looking at between $300 to $450 billion. That's what you should be looking at. Between $300 to $450 billion.
When they release it. Where are we now? We're about $250, $300 billion. Yes.
Less than 300.
300,
yes,
about 250.
About 2 plus.
Yes, about that. Before 300
so you
billion.
We're
like the fourth economy.
Yeah, now we went to fifth. Now we're back and forth. So what you should be looking at is between $300 to $450 billion. And the reasons are obvious. The numbers are obvious. Nigeria is not the only country to rebase. The UK, they were looking for growth, I think 2016, 2017. UK was the one among the first countries, even though they are not the first, to add prostitution to their GDP. I see Nigeria is trying to do the same. So a lot of people are saying, Paul, you need to speak. I said, no, we are copying our senior brother, United Kingdom. Because everybody is trying to say that the economy is bigger. The organizer by the roadside, who is capturing it? Not yet captured. Not even in this recent thing government is looking at. So they have not yet been formalized. So when you say that, it's not that Nigeria now has more money. Things that we have not added and reported.
Yes, will be added.
Are the things that we are reporting.
That's what rebasing will be.
Yes.
That's what the rebasing will be.
So, but the growth rate, how these economies have grown.
Have you, Paul, this discussion is getting deeper than I expected, and I don't know if we'll have time. Yes, I know. I'm just saying that the way we are discussing it is fine, but I don't know if we'll have enough time to be able to look at it, because you're taking me to depths that I would like to discuss more. Are you saying that we last rebased in 2014? From 2014 till now, I think it's about 11 years, if I'm not mistaken.
No, you've answered what I wanted to ask you, even though you are the one to ask me. But you just answered the question. Go and check the growth rate from 2014 till date. The early days of that rebasing was higher. It kept going down. Why? Because we rebased without really building structures. Because when you rebase, you have to work more, because your base is now higher. It's stronger.
And it exposes you to a lot of sectors you didn't know they were there. Your government policies and co should do.
So you need to do more. That's the bottom line. And the country. Watch this. When we went back to pre-rebase year, our growth rate went back to 4%. Because before we rebased, that was the number. It went back. So when you rebase again, perhaps we go to about 450.
Paul, I hope that when the numbers come out, and I don't know why it's not out yet.
I believe it should be out.
It's not. Have you seen
it's not yet out.
It's not out. Let's see. Let's see. I'm giving the MBS. Let's see.
No, don't worry. I believe the DG MBS is a man that's trying.
No, I'm not saying it's not. I know. I'm just saying that we expect, because they said end of January. So I was thinking that by now we would have had the numbers so that we can till more into it.
They've been engaging the
stakeholders on it. I know. They've been having different
I've also been
meetings.
Apart from MBS now, from different headquarters, reports, we're looking at some of the works. You know, even though I've not officially looked at the work from MBS, I don't know if you follow me, but there are other organizations that are interested in what Nigerian rebasing will be. And I've had meetings and presentation with
They've been having different sensitization workshops. I understand that. I've been following them up. Of course, we've also been invited to a few. What I would like us to have that rebasing conversation perhaps whenever the NBS releases this result. But let's take a look at another issue, which is around petrol pricing. Yesterday, or was it 2 days ago, so we saw from Dangote the statement that now price per liter from his base to 890. What that means, and this is in concordance with international best crude oil prices. Of course, when there's an adjustment, that adjustment should also go. What do you think about this?
Well, Nigeria is, we're now using forces of demand and supply to adjudicate price. Dangote is saying that because of slight reduction globally, is affected his pump price, which is a welcome development. What it means is that what people will be buying will be around 900 plus via their pumps. Those who are importing, they also have to be wary because if locally the price is going down, you need to be very wary. My concern is that part of Nigeria that are in extreme region, I think Dangote will need to sign a lot of agreement with more independent marketers. A lot of them, they are scattered everywhere, small. I don't know, maybe he's going to use their association or something to get that interest, to get them interested in buying from him. The margin may be small today, but people should look at the number. And also people should become more patriotic so that Nigerians can have access to fuel that is available at the price that will go down. Do I think the price will go down to 300, 400? I don't think so. Why? Because if you don't support the sector, if you don't directly provide subsidy, the price will be off there at about 800, 700, 750 at best, then going down to about 1,000, 1,200. The only thing that may make it go far up is when there is global, when there is a major gain, you know, in terms of cost of, what do we call it now? Cost of crude across the world. If burning light or Brent crude goes up, say, to about 150, which most governments around the world, they are praying for so that they can have more revenue, but they should know that their citizens, apart from most countries in the Middle East, that provide subsidy for their population, then you must be willing to pay really more. So to me, that interaction makes sense. And one thing I've always advocated for when Dangote Refinery, before it came up, is there must be some level of competition. NNPC seems to say, yes, we're ready to compete with Dangote. I don't know for how long. I think government should look at supporting some other private entities. They might not be as huge as Dangote. I know 1 or 2 persons have also, they have licenses, but government must provide similar support so that they can come to the stream and we can have that fairness competition. Because now we have more or less, quote unquote, a duopoly or an oligopoly of some sort. But if this price is very essential to people, we must make it as popular as pure water. That many people produce, many people buy, then the price can be reasonable for all Nigerians.
Okay, in just a minute, but the question on affordability is also a different thing because many Nigerians are saying they've not even started feeling it at the pumps, but that's a discussion for another day. As we close, what do you think about perhaps FEC's response yesterday to healthcare as well as HIV?
First of all, I think it's a major improvement. At least I wasn't expecting FEC to be that proactive. At least it's not too, this has been done many years back, but we are seeing it. It's a good one that FEC is saying this is what we will put, even though it comes as loan, but to Nigerians, it's an investment on health sector. So that's good. My concern is how long will it take to implement this? Because people with HIV will not wait for you to start passing it from one office to another.
And approval does not mean disbursement.
It does not. So how long will
Because
it
even the
take?
health minister, I think his last budget, he didn't even get, I'm not even sure he got up to 20% of what he
But you
wanted.
know, my advice, because you said 1 minute, I would like to anchor with this by speaking to President Tinubu. If this is implemented on time, and when I say on time, within 6 months, it will have implication on Nigeria's rating on Human Development Index. Health play a key role in that Human Development Index. All countries wants to improve the following: income of their people. Recall that reform has badly affected income. 2, education. And thirdly, health. One way you can have a gain in your Human Development Index is to put this money that has been announced yesterday on the table and do everything. The way we ran with CNG to move people. People that wants to be moved, they need to be alive. Those with HIV, it may not be their fault. The whole world is supporting. America says it's not supporting us. We cannot force Donald Trump to keep releasing monies to us. The one we have promised, we need to implement it so that when we come back here again by July and we are looking at what happened in February, we'll say that President Tinubu as his administration has fulfilled the promise. And maybe by December, I can say we're hopeful and it's worth being hopeful.
All right, we'll take you up on that, God willing, you know. All right, thank you very much, Dr. Alaje. I've been speaking with Dr. Paul Alaje, Chief Economist at SPM Professionals, and we've been looking at the trending economic issues. That's the much you can take on today's edition of the program. Thank you for your company as always. I am Nancy Naji. Be the best you can be and be the change that you want to see. Thank you for making it up to this minute watching the video. Thank you all. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Moneyline with Nancy TV. Like, follow all our other social media platforms where we keep you up to speed with fantastic interviews, as well as markets, personal finance, business, and economy information. This is the best place to be. I'll see you all again in the next video.